Okay, so a very good evening to all of you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hope I'm audible to all of you all. So today we'll be studying chemistry, right? So hope you all know what lesson we'll be learning. So today the lesson is going to be chemical bonds. So we have Miss Rushta Ismat with us. So without any further ado, let's start. Miss Rushta?
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope everyone is doing good. So we'll start today's lesson, chemistry. Today we are going to do chemical bonds, one of the basic lessons in chemistry. Okay. Okay. So do you all have any idea about this lesson, chemical bonds? What are chemical bonds? Find them as the attractive force that holds two or more atoms together in molecule or an ion. If two atoms are combined together, we can call them as an molecule. Okay, so to make a molecule, they should be binded together. So they are known as chemical bonds. Okay, so why do we need chemical bond? What is the purpose of making chemical bonds? Why can't atoms stay alone? Why do we make bonds? Now, in previous lesson, we learned about stability of the elements. When electrons are filling in electron shells, if their shells are completely filled, then they are stable. Their shells are not completely filled. So, to make them stable, they are making bonds and becoming stable. Okay, now I'll recall the previous lesson again. Okay, can you answer for the questions what I'm asking now? Can you tell me how many electrons can be occupied in the first shell? How many maximum electrons that can be occupied in the first shell? 2. Yeah, in first shell it's 2. What about the second shell? In second shell, how many electrons? 8. Yeah. And the third shell? Yes, it is also 8. Okay, what about the last shell, final shell? Yes, 32 or 2. Since you all have 20 elements, it's only 2. Okay, but when you are taking the elements, now neon, argon, but it has only one shell. So it is, so it does not need to make element. When you take neon, its first shell and the second shell, it has only 2 shells. So the first shell has 2 electrons and the second shell is completed with all 8 electrons. So it also no need to make any bonds with any other elements. When we take argon, it has 3 shells. Okay, the first shell has 2 electrons, the second one has 8, and the third one has 8. So it is also completed with the electrons. So all these 3 elements are very stable. So they don't need to make any bonds with any other element. So these are known as noble gas. That's why we call them noble gases, because they don't make any bonds. They are very, so chemical bonds are made to make them stable. Okay, when the atoms to lower energy, they have become more stable. Okay, when they are stable only, really? Is it clear now? Can you all hear me properly? Is everyone having the same issue? Or okay, okay. Give me a second. I'll check on it. Okay, can you all hear now properly? Okay. So let's continue. So chemical bonds forms to allow atoms to look stable. So this is suggested by Jane Lewis. This is not important. This is some extra knowledge. Okay. So you all have to know why chemicals bond forms. Okay. We'll move to the next one. Okay. You all should know what are valence electrons. Valence electrons to when they are making bonds, the valence electrons take the most important role. Okay. The outer shell has is known as valence shell, and the electrons present in the outer shell is known as valence electrons. Okay. So if you take sodium, how many valence electrons are there in sodium? Can you all answer me? In sodium, first, can you all tell me the electron configuration of sodium? Okay. In first shell, 2 electrons, second shell, 8, and final one, 1. So which is known as the valence shell? And how many electrons are present in the valence shell of sodium? It's 1. Yes, your answers are correct. So when sodium is making bond with another element, this valence electron is the one who is taking part. Okay, so now you all have it should be clear what is valence shell and what is valence electron. Okay, now we'll see what are the types of chemical bonds. There are 2 types of chemical bonds in our syllabus, which is known as ionic bonds and covalent bonds. Ionic bonds. Now, if you all have an idea, can you all give me an example for ionic bond, the one which you know, the most common ionic bond? Yes, metallic bonds are there, but it is not in your syllabus. Okay. Mainly, you all have about ionic bonds and covalent bonds. Okay, what is the most common ionic bond? You all know what is the most famous one. If we are talking about ionic bonds, usually we take that as the example for very basic ones. Yes, it's sodium chloride. Okay, no, not hydrogen, not glucose, it's sodium chloride. That is the most common example we are taking for ionic bond. Sodium chloride is known as common salt. Okay, so when we are taking, can you give me an example for covalent bonds? Covalent bond. Yeah, you can take water, oxygen. Yes, those are known as covalent bonds. Now let's see in details what are these ionic bonds and covalent bonds. Ionic bonds are attraction between oppositely charged ions. Okay, one should be positive, one should be negative. If the charges are opposite only, they will get attract. Okay, if the charges are same, they will okay. One element is gaining electrons and the other one is losing its electron. Is it clear now? Okay, hope now it's okay. Okay. Okay, let's continue then. Okay, so one should be positive and one should be negative. So then only they can attract and make a bond between them. Now, when we take sodium and chlorine, now you can see now in this picture, these are some in cartoons. You can just keep in your mind, so it will be easy for you. Ionic bonds, they will transfer electrons, which means they give. One element is giving electron, and the other one is gaining the electron, and they are making bond. Now, in sodium's valence last shell, you all can see there is only one electron. Okay, when you are taking chlorine, in its is it easy electrons to make it stable? What is the most easiest thing sodium can do? Giving its one electron or gaining another 7 electrons. Yeah, it is easy if it is giving one electron. So to give its one electron, it should find a partner who is willing to accept its electron, right? So the most okay, so it needs electrons to make it. Now for chlorine, it is electron from sodium. So these are the two partners who is going to give their electrons, and chlorine is going to gain the electron, and they are going to make the bond. Okay, now you can see sodium is giving its electron, and see this cross. Now chlorine is drawn in dots and sodium is drawn with crosses. So this is like dot and cross structures. Now sodium is giving its electron, one electron to chlorine. So here you can see, here they have put one cross. It is because it is gaining from sodium. Okay. So when an element is giving so sodium is known as the cation. It's giving, so sodium is positively charged, which means when you see this sodium structure, here you can see now sodium should, if so sodium has 11 electrons. Now here sodium has given 1, so 1 is missing, so which means sodium needs another one. So sodium is becoming Na plus. This is known as cation. And when you are taking chlorine, now chlorine is gaining electrons, so this is known as anion. Okay, which means now normally sodium's electron configuration is 287. Since it has one extra, which means to make it stable, he is getting one electron from the sodium. So Cl minus. So when it has plus or minus charges on their on them, they are known as ions. So when it has positive charge, it is known as cation. So it is cation. And when it is having a negative charge, it is known as anion. So we call them anion. Okay. Okay. Explain this part again. Now you can see here chlorine in its valence shell, it has only one electron. Okay. So sodium, it's easy to give this electron than getting 7 more electrons from the someone else. Okay. You understood that part? Chlorine, it has 7 electrons in its valence shell. Okay, so it is easy if to make chlorine stable, it needs only 1 more electron. Okay, rather than giving these 7 electrons to someone else and becoming stable, it is easy to gain 1 electron and becoming stable. So sodium ion is giving 1 electron to chlorine, so both are stable now. Okay, now sodium has 2 electrons and its last shell is completed with 8 electrons, so sodium plus, it is stable. And then chlorine is chlorine has gained 1 electron and now its last shell has 8 electrons and chlorine is also now stable. This is not a type of sharing. Here the electrons are transferring. In covalent bonds is mainly about sharing. Okay, can you all hear now?
Yes, Miss Rushta, your voice is audible, but sometimes there's a connection issue. But other than that, your voice is very clear and audible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I hope now this part is clear for you all. Okay, so sodium and chlorine making bonds and becoming sodium chloride, and this is known as ionic bond. Okay, hope you all understood this part. Now we'll see another example. Now another important part is when you are drawing this, if they are asking questions like this to draw the ionic bond of sodium chloride, the main part is this part. When you are drawing this sodium plus ion, you have to draw these two shells and all the electrons around that, and you have to put a box bracket and you have to put the charges outside the bracket. Now for sodium, you have to put plus because it gave its electron, so it is a cation. And chlorine, it gained 1 electron from sodium, so it is anion, so you have to put minus charge on it. Okay, this structure, when they're asking you to draw something like this, when they're asking the bonding between sodium and chlorine, for final stage you have to draw these two. Okay, now we'll see, will they ask to draw in the paper? They might give like a flow chart, but the missing part sometimes you might have to draw. Okay, in some questions I saw they have given some in structure, they say they have given like a flow chart and ask you to draw the missing one. So you should know how to draw. This is something easy, right? What is meant by cation? Cation means now sodium is giving its electron away. So this is known as cation. So sodium is becoming positive, which means there should be 11 electrons in sodium, right? But now sodium has only 10 electrons. So which means it needs another electrons to become the sodium element. Now, so since it has given 1 electron, it is becoming a sodium ion. So it is Na plus. So when there is a plus charge, we are naming them as cations. Okay, and when we are taking chlorine, it is gaining 1 electron. Since it is gaining 1 electrons, when you are in sodium chlorine element, it has altogether 17 electrons. Now here to make when they are making this bond, it has 1 electron to become positive, which means it is gaining 1 electron from sodium. So this is anion. So it is anion. Okay, so this is anion. If positive charge is there, cation, negative charge is there, anion. Okay, now we'll see another example. Potassium and chlorine, when they both potassium forming. Okay, now when you take potassium chloride, now in potassium they have how many electrons altogether? They have 19 electrons. Okay, in last shell how many electrons do they have? In last shell, how many electrons? Okay, they have 1. What about chlorine? It has 7 electrons. So the best partner is potassium and chlorine, because chlorine needs 1 electron to make it stable, and potassium can become stable by giving its 1 electron rather than gaining another 8. Okay. So 2881 is the electronic configuration of potassium, and 288 7 is the electronic configuration of chlorine. Okay. And then here you can see now chlorine, potassium is giving away, transferring its electron to chlorine. So here potassium becoming cation. Okay. And chlorine is becoming anion. It is stable with its 8 electrons, and potassium is stable with its 8 electrons. So potassium is becoming the cation and chlorine is becoming the. And now when potassium and chlorine combine together, they are making ionic bond, which is known as potassium chloride. Okay, understood? Now ionic bonds, these are the main things. If you have any doubts in ionic bonds, you may ask now. Now, because we are going to move on to covalent bonds. If you all have anything, you may ask. Okay, hope you all don't have any questions. So we'll move on to covalent bonds. Now, covalent bonds are like, now ionic bonds are transferring electrons, okay? But covalent bonds, what they do is they are sharing electrons. Okay, they are sharing and making bonds. In ionic bonds, what they do is they transfer electrons and making bonds. In covalent bonds, what they do is they are sharing their electrons and making bonds. This is known as, now you can see in this definition, the two atoms shared, which means cooperated with valent electrons. They also, in their valence shell, electrons are cooperating with each other. So that is what meant by covalent bond. Okay. The definition of covalent bond, therefore, the electrostatic force of attraction between the nuclei of the bonded atoms and shared electrons. So this is known as covalent bond. Okay. Now you can, covalent bond is about to sharing. Okay. Now we'll see the example. Okay. Now the most common one is here the normally oxygen, hydrogen, H2, O2, all these are combined with which means sharing two electrons, and they are making their bonds. Now if you see this fluorine, now fluorine, can you all tell me the electron configuration of chlorine? Sorry, fluorine. Okay, I'll explain the drawing part again. We will having a question, and in that part I'll explain you. Okay, can you tell me the, it's 2 7. It in first shell it has 2, and in final shell it has 7. Okay, now what this fluorine does is, now two fluorines, they share their electrons and they become stable. Now in this part you can see, now fluorine, when you take the last shell, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and here you can see one dot and a cross, which means the cross is from the second fluorine, the dot is from the first fluorine. So they are sharing their electrons together and becoming stable. Okay. Now in this one, this fluorine shared its electron and this one shared its electron. So in final shell, you will have 8 electrons. So they are stable. Now when you see this nitrogen molecule into the formation of nitrogen molecule, nitrogen has 5 electrons. Okay. In first shell 2, the last shell, it has 5. In second nitrogen also the same. So now we'll see how they are going to make their bond. When you take nitrogen, now for how many electrons you need to make it stable in second shell? How many can occupy in second shell? You need 3 more. Yes, you need another 3 more. So now you can see in this large shell, it has 2, and the other 3, one cross a dot, cross dot, cross dot. So which means here they have 6 electrons plus these 2 in final shell. So 8 electrons. So this nitrogen is now stable. So since they have 3 pairs, so we are making them. N2 bond is a triple bond, which means nitrogen has triple bond. We'll see the example for oxygen. Now, oxygen has 6 electrons around it. Okay, so it needs another 2 more electrons to become stable. So what it does is, it shares its 2 pair of electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in final shell, you can see it has 8 electrons, and oxygen is also becoming stable. So you can see oxygen has 2, which means double bond. Oxygen cannot form triple bonds. It will form double bond because in final shell, it has only 6 electrons. So it needs another 2 more electrons to make it stable. So oxygen is making double bond. Nitrogen needs another 3 more electrons. So it is making triple bonds. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next example. Now in this one, you can see now these kind of previous one, now F2, N2, oxygen, O2, those are known as homoatomic molecules because homo means same. Okay, so they are known as homoatomic molecules. In this one, now this says H2O molecule. So it has 2 types of elements, hydrogen and oxygen. So these are known as heteroatomic molecules. They are also covalent bonds. Covalent bonds can be divided into 2 categories, homoatomic molecules and heteroatomic molecules. Okay. Now we'll see these examples. H2O molecule. H2O molecules, now for oxygen, in valence shell, it has 6 electrons. Okay. So in 6 electrons, so it need another 2 electrons to make the bond. So hydrogen has 1 electron and this hydrogen has 1. So we need 2 hydrogen atoms to combine with oxygen to make it stable. So hydrogen, 1 hydrogen is joining from here and 1, 2. And this hydrogen is joining from here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the final second shell is completed with 8 electrons. So this is a stable molecule. Okay. Hetero and homoatomic again. Okay. Heteroatomic molecules mean same element. So they are known as homoatomic. Okay. Heteroatomic means different types of element. Now hydrogen and oxygen are 2 types of elements. So they are combining to make bonds. They are known as heteroatomic atoms. Okay. The shall be full for a form a molecule. Yeah, its octet should be complete. Now octet means now when you take hydrogen, helium, lithium from the second period, it has 8 electrons. For second shell you need 8 electrons to complete it. In third shell also you need 8 electrons to complete. So you need 8 electrons to complete them. Okay. When you take nitrogen atom, now nitrogen in its in valence shell, it has 5 electrons. So another 3 electrons are needed to make it stable. So we are using 3 hydrogens. How to identify ionic bond? Okay, we'll teach about that. First, go through what is ionic and covalent bonds. Then I'll explain what are the difference and how to identify them. Okay. Now here you need 3 hydrogen molecules. So you will have 8 electrons in the last shell. You can see now this hydrogen is joining here. The second one is joining here and third one is joining here. So altogether you have 8 electrons in your last shell. So NH3, this is known as ammonia molecule. Okay. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next slide. It is also an example of carbon tetrachloride and methane. Now here you can see carbon. In carbon's valence shell, how many electrons are there? 4. So how many more it needed to make it stable? Carbon has 4 valence electrons, and how many more it needed? Another 4 more. So we have to find out for that. So now you can see chlorine. Chlorine has 7 electrons in its valence shell and it needs 1. So it will become 8. And if 4 chlorine molecules can combine to the carbon, then carbon also can be stable. Chlorine also can be stable. So carbon tetrachloride bond is formed. So you can see 7 chlorine electrons joined with this, sharing this carbon's electron. So chlorine is also stable here. Carbon is also stable here. So this bond is known as carbon tetrachloride. Okay. Now you can methane. In methane, you have 4 carbon electrons in its valence shell, and you're combining 4 hydrogen, so CH4. So hydrogen H2 can be stable. It will have 2 electrons sharing with carbon, and hydrogen is also stable and carbon is also stable. So methane molecule is formed. Okay. Now we'll see what are the 2 types of covalent bonds. Now we learned homoatomic molecules and heteroatomic molecules. Homoatomic molecules are same element and heteroatomic molecules are different elements. But the main part of covalent bond is non-polar covalent bond and polar covalent bond. Okay. Now to learn this, you all should have two electrons. Okay. You all should have an idea about electronegativities. The atoms have similar electronegativities are known as non-polar covalent bond. Okay. And then fairly different electronegativities are known as polar covalent bond. Okay. Now we'll see this, what is polarity, and then I'll explain you what is non-polar and polar. A molecule such as HF, hydrogen and fluorine. Now we all know what is the electronegativity of fluorine. Can you all remember the electronegativity value of the fluorine? Yeah, fluorine has the highest electronegativity. So can you all remember that number? Electronegativity is not electron configuration. It's something different. Electronegativity. I'm asking, the question is, what is the electronegativity value of fluorine? What is the electronegativity value of fluorine? It is, no, it's not 3.8. It is 4. Electronegativity of fluorine is the highest one. And what is the electronegativity of hydrogen? Hydrogen is 2.1. So when you take the difference, 4 minus 2.1. So that difference is known as polarity. The molecule such as hydrogen fluoride that has center of positivity charge and the center of negative charge is said to be polar or have dipole moment. Now they have, since different electronegativity values, they have polarity. fluorine will pull its electrons towards hydrogen. So please explain electronegativity. Electronegativity we discussed in previous lesson. Okay. Now I'll just go through this and finally I'll explain what is electronegativity in the question and answer session. Okay. Now this polarity is mainly coming under when we are differentiating covalent bonds. This polarity is the main part. Non-polar and polar, we are dividing according to the polarity. If the atom is having same type of electronegativity, now if you take hydrogen, if hydrogen is 2.1, so something similar to hydrogen, if you take, then they don't need to share its electron. Electron does not pull its energy towards the other, so it's like kind of same. So they are known as non-polar covalent bond. And polar covalent bond, they will share electron because since they have different electronegativity values. Okay. Now we'll see the properties of ionic and covalent compounds. Now you can see the difference between ionic and covalent compounds. Now from this you can identify how can you differentiate polar ionic and covalent compounds. Okay. Now usually ionic compounds are crystalline solid. Now crystalline means if you take salt, salt is a something like crystals. Okay. So it is crystalline solid. Covalent compounds can be liquid, gas or solid. Now when you take H2O, it is liquid. If you take hydrogen, it is a gas. Okay. So when you take something methane, something like methane, it is a gas. Okay. The covalent compound can be liquid, gas or solid, while ionic compounds are only crystalline solid. Okay. The melting points of ionic bonds are very high, while covalent bonds are very low. When you take electric conductivity, ionic bonds can conduct electricity, but a covalent bond does not conduct electrical conductivity. Solubility in water. When you take salt, when you put in water, it will easily dissolve. Okay, so it is mostly soluble in water. Covalent compounds, they have very low solubility levels. Okay, they do not easily soluble in water. Okay, now when you take electricity conduction, conduct electricity when dissolved in water, ionic compound does, even though if you take salt solution, it will conduct electricity. But when you take covalent compound solution, it does not conduct electricity. Okay. To identify metals and non-metals, yes. Normally, when you take ionic bonds, metals transfer their electrons to make bonds. So if there is a metal, you can say it is ionic bond. Okay. If it is not, it is a non-metal, you can take it as a covalent compound. But this can not be always correct. So since you all have only 20 elements, you can apply like that. Okay. Now we'll see about the structures. Okay, there are three types of structures you can see. One is dot and cross diagrams, Lewis diagrams, and Lewis structures. These three are very important because they have asked questions in these part in your past papers. You all should know what is the difference between dot and cross diagram, Lewis diagram, and Lewis structure. When you take dot and cross diagram, one element should be drawn with dots and the other one should be drawn with crosses. So this is known as dot and cross diagram. But when you take Lewis dot diagrams, it is only with dots. Now this chlorine is also with dots and this one is also drawn with dots. Okay, they have used different colors to make it clear for all, but you all can use only dots to make this bond. Okay, so this is known as Lewis dot diagrams. When you take Lewis structure, here you can see there is a line. Okay, this is the bond. So this line is represented in Lewis structure. When they are asking you to draw Lewis structure, you all have to use dots and you all have to represent the bond with lines. When you take nitrogen, then you have to draw 3 lines in between 2 nitrogen atoms. Okay. When you take oxygen, you have to draw 2 lines in between O oxygen atoms. Okay. This is how you are drawing the structures. Now, this is from your textbook. Now you can see here, Lewis structure of chlorine is drawn as like this, and hydrogen is like this. Here it has only one line. This one line represent 2 electrons. Okay, this chlorines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one line represent 2 electrons, so 8. Lines are what is represented by dots. Dots are represented for electrons. Now electrons are representing from dots. When you take chlorine, in chlorine's valence shell, it has 7 electrons, so that is represented by these dots. Okay, line is the bond, so one line is representing 2 electrons. Now here you can see in between hydrogen, it has only one electron from this hydrogen, 1 electron from this hydrogen. So there are 2 electrons. H2 is a stable molecule. Okay. And when you take, yes, this is only for covalent. Take H2O, water molecule, you can see oxygen, 4 electrons are represented for drawn on top of the oxygen, and 2 lines, one with this hydrogen and one with the second hydrogen. So which means this one line represent 2 electrons. Likewise, they have drawn for CH4 and oxygen and nitrogen. Here you can see for oxygen they have put 2 lines. Should we know how to draw the structures? Yes, you should know, because they will ask questions, and they're asking questions from that. They will give the name of the compound, and they will ask you to draw the amount. If they're asking example, for example, draw the Lewis structure of ammonia, you should know what is ammonia and you should know how to draw that. Okay, you should know. If they have given as ammonia, you should know it is NH3, 1 nitrogen and 3 hydrogens. So you should draw it properly. These diagrams does not show valency. Now, these structures, when we are drawing these structures, we are considering only about the valence shell and we are drawing them. Now, in what is the valency of oxygen? In what is the, how many electrons are there in oxygen's valence shell? Oxygen's valence shell, you have 6 electrons. To make it stable, how many more electrons you will need? You need 2 more. So that is what they have done here. Now you can see in this Lewis structure, 1, 2, 3, 4 dots for this oxygen, and they have drawn 2 lines. 2 lines means 4 electrons. So 4 electrons here and 4 electrons here. Altogether 8 electrons. So this oxygen is stable. And when you see nitrogen, nitrogen has 3 bonds, triple bonds, and which means these 3 lines are representing 6 electrons plus these 2, 7, 8. So this is also a stable molecule. Those dots represent, yeah, those are lone pairs. Will they ask to draw Lewis structures? Yes, you will get questions to draw. They might tell, draw the dot and cross diagram for ammonia. Then you have to draw these. Okay, dot and cross. You have to use dots for one element and cross for another element. And Lewis dot diagrams, if they're asking to draw the Lewis dot diagram for ammonia, you have to use only dots. If they're asking you to draw the Lewis structure, you have to use electrons with dots and these lines to represent 2 electrons. Okay. Lone pairs means now you can see in if you take this ammonia, in this structure, ammonia has 2 lone pairs. These electrons are known as lone pairs. Pair, one electron pair. Pair means 2. So it has one lone pair. This cannot make a bond. Okay. This is not connected with another element. So they are lonely. So they are known as lone pair. Okay. Free electrons. Yes. You can call them free electrons also. They are lone. So you can call them lone pairs. These ones are not alone. These now when you take here nitrogen, this electron is shared its electron with hydrogen. So it is not alone. It is covalent, coordinated with hydrogen. So they are making a bond here. Since this is not making bond with anyone, this is known as lone pair. Okay. Okay. Now, if you all have any question, can we draw H2O in straight line instead of triangle? Okay, no, you this is the proper way to draw the H2O molecule, because you all don't have why the reasons why are we drawing like this and all, but there is a bond angle. The proper way is you have to draw like this triangle. It's the difference between ionic bonds and covalent bonds. Ionic bonds transfer their electrons. Covalent bonds are sharing their electrons. Okay, they share and make the bonds. Ionic bonds, they transfer, they give their electrons. Metals give their electrons and make the bond. So that is the difference between ionic bond and covalent bond. Okay, now let's move for a past paper question and see what you all have understood. Now in this one, you all can see, I hope you can see these structured Lewis structures. Yes, covalent bonds are non-metals, only for non-metals. Now in this question, you all can see X, Y, Z structures. Now X, Y, Z. Now you all can see 1, 2, 3. These in these diagrams. Now first one, what is the valency of atom Y? Can you all answer for the first question? What is the valency Y? How can you find the valency of atom Y? What is the answer for that? Valency. When they're asking about the valency, you have to consider only the valence shell and give answer, not the everything. Okay. Yes, the valency of Y is 4. It is 4. Now, how do you find that? Now, you can see when you take Y in this second diagram, there are 4 dots and 4 crosses, which means 4 dots are belongs to Y and these crosses are belongs to X. Okay. So it has 4 electrons in its last shell. So valency of atom Y is 4. Okay. Now let's see the second one. What is the number of the figure which shows homoatomic molecule? Now you are getting a questions from homoatomic and heteroatomic thing. So can you all answer the second question? What is the number of figure which shows the homoatomic molecule? Yes, homoatom is represented by number 1. You can see X and X is combining to make the bond. So X, X, which means same atom. So this is known as homoatom. Okay. Okay. The third one. Write the molecular formula of molecule shown in figure 3. Okay. Can you all answer for that one? What is the molecular formula of molecule shown in figure 3? It's an important question. I'm getting 2 types of answer, NH3, okay. ZX3. Okay. Okay. Now, this is very important questions. When they're asking questions like this, now they have given these uh, atoms. Now you can see X, Y, Z. They have named them as X, Y, Z. So when they're asking question, the molecular formula of the molecule shown in figure 3, you have to use only Z and X to answer. That is ammonia, NH3. But they are not asking the real formula. They are asking what is the molecular formula. So you have to write the answer ZX3, not NH3. You all won't get marks for NH3. Okay. In previous lesson also I said when they are in periodic table, if they are asking questions, if they have given them as ABC, you have to use ABC. Unless they are asking you write the real formula of this. Okay. You have to use the letters which they are representing. Hope you got that answer. Now you can say now Z. When you take Z, we'll take Z dots. So how many dots are around this Z? Count them. You have 5 dots, which means the valence shell has 5 electrons. So what is the element which has 5 electrons in the valence shell? It is nitrogen. Okay. Now you can see X. X, they have represented, if X electrons are represented from crosses. Now you can see 1, 2, 3 crosses are there. So which means it is hydrogen. So it has 2. It needs 2 to complete its valence shell become stable. So this is, now you can see from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is stable. So the molecular formula is ZX3. Okay. Now we'll move on to the fourth question. What is the type of bond found in each molecule shown in figures above? Okay. What are the bond types? They're asking whether it is covalent bond or ionic bond. Yes, those are covalent bonds. Okay. Now the fifth question, if the atomic numbers of X, Y, Z are less than 10, identify identify each atom. Now you can see in this question they are asking identify each atom. So what is X, what is Y, and what is Z? So here you have to write the real names of these elements. X for what, Y and Z. Can you all name them? X, Y, Z. First give me the answer for X. Yes, X is hydrogen. Okay, now tell me the answer for Y. What is represented by Y? Y is not beryllium. Try again. Yes, Y is carbon because it has 4 valence electrons. So it is carbon. So what is Z? Z is nitrogen because it has 5 valence electrons. So this is not, this is nitrogen. Okay. Now we'll move on. How to find? Okay, now how to find? Now here you can see X. Now in this one, X has one electron, which means X cross is representing for this X and dot is representing for this. So which means it has one electron. So what is the element which has only one electron? It is hydrogen. So X is hydrogen. When you go for Y, you can see it has in its valence shell, it has 4 electrons. Okay, so Y is carbon. Valence shell, what is the element which has 4 electron in its valence shell? It is carbon, because it is combining with another 4, so it is obviously it should be carbon. Okay, and you can see in Z it has 1 2 3 4 5. In its valence shell it has 5 electrons, so which means it is nitrogen. You should know how many electrons are there in their valence shell to write the answers for this. Okay, now we'll move on for some other questions. Okay, write the electronic configuration of following ions. Can you all first write yeah, how 5? Now in this one, okay, let me explain that. Z, now you can see there are 5 dots around Z. 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 electrons are around Z. So 5 valence electrons. 5 valence electrons. So nitrogen has 5 valence electrons around its valence shell. So that's how 5 came. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to the next questions. What is the name of compound CH4? CH4 is known as methane. Okay. Can you all answer for the first one? First, Na plus. Write the configuration for Na plus. What is the electronic configuration for Na plus? Two, 8, 1. No. Okay, now what is the electronic configuration of sodium? Sodium is, if it is Na, the electronic configuration is 281, which means it has 11 electrons. So 281. Na plus means this sodium has given one electron for some other element. So it has given, it is a cation. So when this positive sign is there, you should know now sodium has given one electron. So the configuration should be 2 8. 2 8. It has only 10 electrons. One is missing. So that's why this sodium became Na plus. Okay. Okay. The second one, magnesium 2 plus. It is not 2 minus. There is a small mistake. It should be 2 plus. Okay. Can you all write the answer for magnesium 2 plus? How many electrons are there in magnesium? Magnesium 2 plus. Magnesium cation. Yes, that is also 2 8. Yes, the answer is correct. Okay. Now let's see what will happen if it is minus. O2 minus. O2 minus. So what is the electronic configuration of O2 minus? What will happen if minus is there? What is the electronic configuration of O2 minus? Yes, minus means it is an anion, which means it has gained 2 electrons. So how many electrons in oxygen's last shell, valence shell? It has 6. So if it has gained another 2, So what is the electronic configuration of O2 minus? Now write the configuration of O2 minus. Yes, that is also 2, 8. Okay. Okay. Now you all understood how to write a electronic configuration if they have given as cation or anion. These kind of MCQs can be come for the paper. Okay. Now we'll see the second question. Why carbon has high melting point and high boiling point? Okay, what is the reason for that? Why carbon has higher melting point and carbon is not ionic compound? Carbon is not a compound. Carbon is now, when you take carbon as single, it is an element. C, just only carbon. It is metal. Carbon is not metal. Covalent bond. Okay, carbon is non-metal. Yes, yes, I have got an answer because it's lattice structure. Yes, that is the answer should be given. By the boiling point and high melting point, it is because of their lattice, atomic lattice. Okay, not because of covalent bond or because of non-metal. Now then, if all the other non-metals also should have a higher boiling and higher melting point. Because of its lattice only, it has a higher boiling and melting point. So what is lattice? Now in previous sessions, we discussed about some allotropes, right? Different allotropes. Now carbon has how many allotropes? What are the allotropes? I mean, how many types of carbons are there? How many? How many types of carbon? Forms of carbon, how many are there? There are 6 types of carbon. Okay, but yeah, fullerene is also a form of carbon. Okay, there are 6 forms of carbon. Mainly you are studying about diamond and graphite. Though diamond and graphite is the most common one in the carbon. Now you know graphite has very less value and diamond has higher value. Okay, that is all because of its atomic structure. Okay, because of atomic structure. Okay, why carbon has high melting point and high boiling point? The answer should be because of the atomic lattice. That should be the answer for that. Okay, now we'll move on for the third question. Can electricity flow through ionic solution? Okay, you should know the answer for this. Okay, what is the answer for that? Yes, electricity can flow through mixed solution. What about covalent? Covalent solution. Yes, covalent solutions does not pass electricity. Okay, when you now we'll take some example. Now ionic solution, we can take salt solution as the ionic solution. Okay, and then sugar solution as the covalent solution. Now ionic solution, when you take sodium and chloride, sodium is having positive charge and chlorine is having negative charge. Because of these opposite charges, they conduct electricity. Okay. Now when you take covalent bonds, they do not have any charges. They do not have positive or negative. So they do not pass electricity through their solutions. Okay. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now, that's it for this lesson. If you all have any doubts, you all can ask. Okay, if you all have any questions from this lesson, it's time to your question session. What elements have allotropes and what is electronegativity? Okay, we'll see what is electronegativity. Now, electronegativity is from the previous lessons. So now you all can see all these lessons are interconnecting. So you all can't leave one lesson and study the other one. Okay. Now it's electronegativity means an ability of an atom to attract its electrons. Okay. Now when you take hydrogen and fluorine bond, now the one electron will attract the other one's electron towards itself. Okay. Because they have different electronegativity values. Okay. So electronegativity you can define as ability of an atom of an element to attract the electrons of a bond towards itself when it is bonded to an atom of another element. If it is bonded with another one, it is having some uh, ability to attract the electrons from the other one. So that is known as electronegativity. Electronegativity differs from each and every element. They have different values for each element. Okay. What elements have allotropes? Elements such as chlorine, hydrogen, they have allotropes. They are the main ones which have allotropes. Okay. What is the difference between polar and non-polar molecule? This polar molecule, electronegativity of element. Okay, the electronegativity of element. In the previous lesson, there is a chart given. They have given the values. From there only, you have to know the electronegativity values. You can draw that chart and you can find out which one has the high electronegativity and isotopes compound. What is isotope? Okay, now all the questions are coming from previous lessons. Isotopes are, now when you take atoms, they have different mass numbers, but same element. Okay, they have different mass numbers, so they are known as isotope. When you take fluorine, okay, its mass number is different, but atomic number is same. Now fluorine, it has 17 electrons, so mass number can be 35 or 37. So when the mass number is different for the same atom, they are known as isotopes. Okay, combining ability of an element is valency. Now this is not combining. Electronegativity means pulling. Now which means if two elements are combining together, now one element can pull other one's electron towards its side because it has a less electronegativity. Okay, that is known as electronegativity. Here it is not combining. The ability to pull electron towards itself, that is known as electronegativity. Okay. What is lattice? Lattice is the structure how we are drawing the now when you take carbon, now carbon when you take graphite, now graphite and diamond, those are types of carbon, but because of their lattice structure they are different. Now graphite is also made with carbon and diamond is also made with lattice structure. Lattice means it is structure. Now carbon connecting with another carbon, how they are connected, it is known as lattice. When you take graphite, now it is 6 carbon atoms are connecting with each other and it is connecting to another 6 and likewise it is making the compound. Okay. When you take diamond, it is connecting with 3D method. Okay. When you take graphite, it is going like 2D, two-dimensional method. When you take diamond, it is going with three-dimensional lattice. That's why it is more stronger than graphite and it has higher value for itself. Just once again. Isotope. Isotope means when the mass numbers are different and same atomic number. If they have same atomic number and different mass number, they are known as isotopes. When you take chlorine, atomic number is 17, but it can have the different mass numbers such as 35, 37. So if it is having different mass numbers and same atomic number, it is known as isotope. The neutrons are same. Number of electrons and neutrons are normally equal. Okay, so neutrons also same in isotope, only their mass number, which means no, not neutron. Protons and electrons are number of protons and electrons are same, and number of neutrons can be different. That's why the mass number is changing. Now mass number means number of, okay, what can you tell me what is mass number? Now atomic number means total number of electrons and what? Sum of protons and neutrons. Okay. So what is mass number? Mass number is combined with what? Only atoms are present in covalent bonds. Atoms are present in covalent bonds. Yes, carbon atom. It can be different types of elements combining together and making covalent bonds. Okay. Mass number is number of protons and number of neutrons. If the neutron number is differentiating, so the isotope can be different. Now, isotopes are mainly because of the difference of the number of neutrons. Okay. Okay, what is polarity? Okay. Nucleus, electron, proton. Yeah, polarity means now when you take electronegativity, so when one atom is pulling electron towards itself, so it is becoming positive. Okay. The other one is becoming negative. So they have positive pole and negative pole. So this is known as polarity. Electrovalence one. Now, if you take example for hydrogen fluoride, so hydrogen is having positive charge because hydrogen is pulling electron towards itself. So hydrogen is having positive charge, and fluorine is having negative charge. Since because of this difference of charges, now hydrogen is having positive. This one fluorine is having negative. So poles are different, positive and negative. So this is known as polarity. Yes, they are known. They can be known as electrovalent bonds also. Okay, hope you all have only these questions. It's so, man. Yes, sure. You can contact me and you can get it cleared. Okay. How here you have my email address, and in the groups you all have my number also. So from that you can contact me. Okay, if you all have only these questions, we can. What is intermolecular bonds? Intermolecular bonds means the bonds between the molecules. Inter means inside the molecule. Now when you take water molecule, now water is combined with so many H2O molecules. So one H2O molecule is combining with another H2O molecule. So first H2O molecule is combining with second H2O molecule. So bond between first H2O molecule and second H2O molecule is known as intermolecular bonds. Okay, it is inside bonds means intermolecular bonds. Inside the bond. Bond is inside, so they are known as intermolecular bonds. Okay. Okay. So far, you all have only these questions. Okay, Miss Faila.
Yes, ma'am. So I hope we have only this much of questions, alhamdulillah. So despite the fact that we had power cut and all sorts of things, alhamdulillah, we are done with the session today. So hopefully, I hope that y'all had very clear understanding as to what chemical bonds mean. So of course, I saw that some of y'all were asking questions from the previous lesson, which means that some of y'all might be new for this session, which means that you have not listened or attended the previous session. So inshallah, hopefully I will be putting the links for the previous session so you all can learn from them also, right? So, and of course, some of you all were asking me that whether we will have more sessions, right? So inshallah, hopefully we might have one session in the following month, that is next month, but we'll be informing y'all, right? So be attentive in the group, right? So inshallah, if we are to conduct more sessions, of course, we will be informing y'all, right? So yes, the slides will be uploaded, right? Inshallah. So yes, hopefully we have come to an end, alhamdulillah. Right. So if there's no more
the feedback, no?
Yes. Okay. So yes, some of y'all are already typing that today's session was good, right? So please do let us know about the feedbacks and what are the lessons that you need from us. So inshallah, in the future, we can conduct those lessons, inshallah. And of course, we'll be releasing a feedback form in the group, right? So most probably tomorrow we'll be releasing it. So inshallah, you all can fill it out too. And please let us know what are the lessons that you need. Any other classes? Yes, I recommend y'all if y'all are into ICT, you have these computer classes, home visiting. I can recommend this for y'all. And other than that, if there's any other sessions and if it is beneficial for you, inshallah, we will surely share it in the Smart Science group, inshallah. So yes, we have come to an end, alhamdulillah. So let's wrap up the class today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jazakallah khairan for joining us. Good night to all of y'all.